Good morning and welcome back to the Wager Wise podcast brought to you by Dribble Sport. Before we go any further, Ryan, my friend, good morning. How are you?
Good. I'm good, mate. How are you this morning?
I'm good. We're both cold. It's getting a little bit chilly over here, but we deal with it. Obviously, off the back of a monster week for both of us. I was really happy with just, some of those calls felt really, really hard to make, but they were the right calls with some of them.
Yep.
And that, prime example, Tokos. Was that a guy I ever wanted to go near or, even consider having money on? Not really. But in a spot like that against Tafa, it felt like a no-brainer. So a few ugly spots that got up. I landed a huge $25 to $3,500 multi, something like that, as well. So yeah, on top of that, just had a massive week. How did you go?
Yeah, it went great, man. I wish I had that multi that you put on. Some of my picks coincided with that, but I went plus 9.33 units.
Fuck yeah.
It was great. Like Steve Garcia ignored the noise all week. Heard people like really making a solid argument for the Cater side, but sometimes you just got to trust yourself. But on the other side of that, I had Chidi and Jaquani. I had only for 2 units as compared to Steve Garcia, who I had 3.5 units on.
Yeah.
But Chidi, he just didn't. I think if it went longer, he would have had a better shot. But good on Jake Matthews for getting that. And like you said, Tuco Tokos, crazy guy to be putting our well-earned money on, like in hindsight. But against a guy like Junior Tafa as a favorite, like you just gotta play that. On top of that, Klein inside the distance, which became a sweat. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Bonfim to go to decision. Charia KO. Walter Walker submission. It was one of those nights that just went very well. The only thing that stopped it from being a monster night was Tal Teixeira getting knocked down in the first round. But Derek Lewis just shows that he's just one of those cheat codes.
Yeah, 100%. We also did mention on the podcast, like if we were confident that Jake Matthews would come out and engage in the grappling, that he would be almost like an auto bet on that side. And what did he do? He came out and wrestled straight away. So I feel like he's one of those guys that you just sort of very rarely going to catch. And he just kind of overperforms and underperforms at certain times, like randomly. So tough one to cap for sure. And yeah, my last leg of the multi was our wager-wise pick of the week, Sharia inside the distance. Started pretty well, was feeling really confident. And then the second round, it looked like he was slowing down. I started to get a little bit nervous. I'd considered cashing out for a smaller one before the fight started, but it was too small and didn't feel right with it. Sharia being the smallest leg, so I just let it ride. And that round 3 just came out swinging. It was probably all he had left, and he finished him. So felt good. I was on the golf course watching it live. Felt really good.
Beautiful. Yeah, in that second round, he was really starting to look like a French fighter.
Yeah, I was really nervous in that set. I'm like, fuck, Nate's just gonna walk him down here, but yeah, got lucky. But that's the game. All right, this week we have UFC 318 Holloway versus Poirier, obviously number 3. Look, it's not the greatest pay-per-view card you're ever going to see in your whole life, but I do think there is some decent spots. So I reckon you and I go back to back, and we have 2 big weeks in a row. What do you reckon?
I'm all in.
All right, top to bottom, analysing these fights, you know how it goes. Let's kick off with the first fight on the whole card. We have women's flyweight. We've got Carly Giudice 4-2 taking on Nicole Cagliari 8-3. Prices, let me just make sure these are updated. We have Carly Giudice, pretty firm favourite, -335. The comeback on Nicole Cagliari, +275. I'll kick us off here. I did more tape than I probably would have wanted on this fight. I'll start with Giudice. Like, I think she's actually a decently functional striker for WMMA. Like, I think she has pretty good traits all around. Like, namely her straight shots, her footwork, and I think like her constant pressure. I think she's got a decent jab. To me, she looks like she's good in the clinch. She always lands like pretty solid knees when she's in there. She likes to set up her rear leg off the rear hand or the jab feint, like sort of Leon Edwards-esque. And that's exactly what resulted in that KO versus Ben. I mean, you have to question her defense. She has a really scrappy style, and to me, she doesn't exit range very well. She also wears damage really, really poorly. I think a lot of that is because her lead hand is very lax defensively. It always sort of comes away from the chin, given she's got a really active jab, and given she's a southpaw here, I think the lead right hand, like given she's a southpaw, the lead right hand often drifts from her chin. So maybe that's a Nicole Cagliari sort of overhand entry spot. But yeah, Fernandez was able to hold her against the cage at times through pure physicality, but that kind of resulted in her gassing badly, which to me is like a worst case result against a style like Giudice. Like if you slow down and if you start to gas out, like Cagliari has showed, she may potentially, have that in her tool set. A style like Giudice with the pressure and the volume is really just going to take over as the fight goes long. So on Nicole Cagliari, I think immediately the first thing I noticed is that she's going to be at a significant volume disadvantage here, like straight off the bat. She likes to throw with more power, less output. I think she's rather stationary. I do think she's an okay striker. Like she's got decent kickboxing combinations. I really don't rate her wrestling, in my opinion. She's not a good pure wrestler. I do think she's got some okay trips, but to me, she relies on physicality at times, which again is not going to get her far as she sort of climbs up the ladder. Yes, she may have success against a Giudice who's 4-2 in her career, but I think if she continues to climb, that's going to really haunt her. Head high when backing up, footwork starts to fade as the fight goes on, and as she tires, and she does tire. Not a lot of defense either to shots like jabs or straight shots. Have to imagine she will have a jiu-jitsu advantage, but I also, I watched that Dana White's Contender Series fight with Laframboise back, and that is just one of the worst armbar wins I reckon I've ever seen. Like, that's just some of the most ordinary defense in guard that I've ever seen. Just pure WMMA submission. Her first round's her best round. She was going to slow down past that. To me, overall in this fight, I think Cagliari has upside early only. I feel like she may be potentially, I wouldn't be surprised if she clipped Giudice and hurt her, just given how poorly she does defend boxing combination and how she wears damage. But to me, I feel like Giudice is sort of annoying enough, and the huge volume output upside as the fight goes on is a huge tick. Cagliari's just ordinary wrestling. I can actually see her tiring herself out with bad entries and worsening things. I think it's Giudice late or decision.
Yeah, nice breakdown there, mate. Yeah, look, Giudice is a much better kickboxer all round, height and reach advantage, solid takedown defense. And if she can keep this fight at range and has the cardio throughout 15 to just stick and move, then she'll probably wins on the scorecards. Cagliari is there to be hit with fast straight shots, but I do like Cagliari's grit, like her constant pressure and ability to just make things happen if they get in close. Like she is persistent with her takedowns, though her wrestling sucks, and she doesn't stop trying. She attempted 14 takedowns there and only got it down 3 times. But I think she's got solid boxing, like not technical, but it's like effective at this level, and she does got some pop in her shots. Like she slips or blocks punches well and counters with heavy combos. The thing is, when she isn't countering immediately, she's just getting her head snapped back with like jabs, and I can see Carly Judas doing that for a long periods of time. Yeah, Cagliari in her last fight, she took on Ernesta Caraciate to it and took her to a split decision, and that's someone Judas has lost to, and Caraciate is taller, longer, and yeah, Cagliari did get her down 3 times from 14 attempts, and she did maintain consistent like output despite being behind on the striking exchanges, but all up, I think this is a doggo pass for me. Like Judas is still very green in the game, only like debuting in 2021, while Cagliari, she has been a pro since 2015. She's got slightly more experience. There is a grappling upside there in a mid to low level, in this mid to low level fight between two relatively unproven girls. So I think Judas is not someone I can trust to distance strike with little mistakes for 15 minutes. So yeah, I did take a half unit shot on Cagliari at plus 250.
Yeah, nice. Makes sense. Like it's a wide price for sure. So I don't hate anyone who's taken the shot on the Cagliari side. I can understand the reasoning there. I'm just having a look at some prices. Like I don't know. To me, I think she's hard pressed to win a decision. That's just how I see it, just off pure volume upside. So I feel like if I was going to take Cagliari, you don't have to because she's a 280 dog. Like the value's all there. But ITD is plus 600. And I think that covers her finishing her obviously in round one quickly, which I think she can, given how Judice gets hit, and also the ground game. So you're almost 3 times in your odds there. Maybe it's not a bad look either. But it's actually, I think it's a decent fight to kick off the card, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not bad for a women's MMA fight. Just a question: who do you think is a better fighter, Caraciate or Judice?
I think a pure fighter, I'd say Judice, but I think because of Ernesta's frame and length, it sort of like it makes her harder to fight against, if that makes sense. I don't think
Yeah,
she's like a better pure fighter, but I think she's got better like traits that help that.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I'd say Judice in my opinion, and especially as she gets like more experience under the belt. I mean, she's 4-2, and her boxing looks pretty impressive. Like her output looks pretty impressive. Some of
Yeah.
her combos and stuff she throws, she looks very, very fluid.
Mm.
But yeah, her defense is really bad. All right, up the card. Next fight off the rank, we've got middleweight. The debut of Jackson McVeigh. After that, who was he meant to fight that got cancelled?
Cedriques Dumas.
The boy Dumas. That's right. Yes, middleweight fight. Bruno Ferreira 13-2 taking on Jackson McVeigh 6-0. Prices we have Bruno Ferreira minus 570, maybe 600 in some places. The comeback on McVeigh plus 420 to plus 450. All right, Ryan, take it away.
Yeah, so we got a fight between two guys with 100% finish rate. McVeigh, 6 wins, and yeah, all 6 have been finished in the first round, but he just hasn't fought high level competition. Bruno Ferreira, 10 of his wins are in round one, and 3 of them in round two. And yeah, I think this is just a clear gap in experience here. Like Bruno Ferreira, he like has heavy hands. He's very explosive in his movement, a little short for the vision, so he's hard to track down for like guys with McVeigh's height and reach. And yeah, on top of that, Bruno Ferreira comes from a jiu-jitsu and judo background, which you see him use um, pretty sparingly. But yeah, if he chooses to get the fight to the ground, he just changes levels, grabs a leg, and slams opponents through the canvas. And from there, he's pretty dominant from the top and in all facets of his game. For as much as he's like aggressive and lives up to his nickname, the Hulk, he is pretty creative. Like he throws spinning attacks, flying knees, and then on the ground, like can pull off arm bars and triangles, which is yeah, he just finished Petrosian by a round 2 armbar back in March. McVeigh, he's a tall southpaw. He mostly uses long range weapons like body kicks, teeps, and 1-2s to chip away at opponents. And when he's in close, he'll just grab a hold of that clinch, working his knees and elbows, and he will just the moment opponents like even expose their neck for a split second, he's jumping at that thing. That's how he's as opportunistic of a grappler as he can get. I did have a confident 2-unit bet on him against Cedricus Dumas at -125. I just believed Dumas would have given McVeigh plenty of opportunities to snatch a sub, as when he's getting teed up on, he just he just kind of bends down and just defends with his hands up. So there was the neck there to be taken. But also, like, Dumas is pretty low level in my opinion. But now he's up against someone who will pose the most danger he's ever faced, and in my opinion, his path to victory here will be by surviving whatever onslaught as long as he can and finding the opportunity to snatch up a sub, which I do think is possible. Like, if Bruno reaches for the legs at any point, he can very well just grab a hold of that front headlock. Or if they find themselves in a clinch along the fence, he can frame his head, throw knees, and then get the choke from a standing position, or just straight up just knee TKO him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and the height difference will mean it's easier to attempt a guillotine on Bruno's Ferreira. But yeah, my pick here will be Bruno Ferreira. I do think like it's too much of a step up in competition, and there's just nothing you can see in McVeigh's like previous fights that just indicate that he can avoid getting like absorbing some damage from Bruno Ferreira here. So I think he gets him out by knockout. I did play his straight out knockout prop at -120 for 1.5 units. And yeah, I'll be surprised if he doesn't get him out of there like within 2 rounds.
Yeah, nice breakdown. Do you reckon he looks like James Krause with hair? I've just been looking at that while you've been talking, and I'm kind of seeing that in his face a bit, eh?
I see it.
Especially if you look at that one. That one looks like legit James Krause with a wig on.
Especially because it's sort of like blurred from like where I can see.
Yes. So maybe this is James Krause's ultimate comeback. He's finally figured out how to get back in the UFC after that betting shambles. So we'll see how he goes. Yeah, I don't have a super strong read on this one. I'm not really interested in betting it. Like, Jackson McVeigh, he kind of looks like he has I think he may have a serious case of the same variant of autism that RDR kind of has. Like, he sort of fights that way to me. Like, he's got this, kicking offensive output, this ugly range of roundhouse kicks that he sort of targets to all 3 levels. But I don't think he likes to box. Like, he doesn't have great hands. He's like more of a kicker on the feet. He looks to be an okay grappler, but it's really hard to know where to rate it because he's just fought such average competition. He just looks to sort of kick at you on the feet. He's not super fast or powerful, but he can kind of just overwhelm you in close. To me, he looks like a hard guy to cap. And that's just like as simple as I can put it. Onto Ferreira, very explosive, kind of a footwork-orientated style where he looks to, bounce on the outside and then explode into range with big overhands or power shots. He looks to me like he's going to be carrying a significant power advantage in this fight. I don't think he's great. I do think he has some okay skills that should be enough to beat lower level competition. I also think he's hittable at times. I question his chin and cardio. So overall, kind of wouldn't be shocked if McVeigh just somehow like out chromosome Bruno here and pressured him. Somehow took some big overhands and just was able to wear on Bruno and took over as he gassed. I also wouldn't be shocked if Bruno KOs him on the feet or takes him down and submits him. So I think Bruno fair favourite purely off quality of competition. But I can't get near, minus 500, whatever it is. That's crazy prices. So yeah, pass fight for me.
Nice.
All right. Up the card, Ryan Spann versus Lukasz Brzeski. Prices. We have Ryan Spann minus 210. Come back on Lukasz Brzeski plus 180. If you're betting Ryan Spann minus 210 in the good old year of 2025, you have rocks in your head. You have severe rocks in your head. Obviously, he made his move up to heavyweight with the loss to Waldo Cortez Costa. Again, he's not developing as a fighter, is he? He's just not changing. He doesn't look better. If anything, he's getting worse. He's getting slower. He's getting more plottier. And he's always slowed down in fights, and now he's sort of doing the same up at heavyweight. He's coming up against Lukasz Brzeski, who again is just shit. Like, I don't know how he has a win over Walter Walker. I know. Out of all the names that he's gone up against, he beat Walter Walker, and I really don't understand it. He came in off the Dana White's Contender Series where, he's one of the clearer juices I think I've seen in the UFC, just off pure body shape alone. But his game plan's simple. He wants to get in front of you. He wants to box and he wants to take the fight long. I couldn't give a fuck about this fight. I don't like either fighter. I think Ryan Spann minus 200 is crazy talk. But do you want to fade shit with shit? Probably not. So pretty confident to just stay away from this one. Don't bet your hard-earned money and enjoy from the sidelines.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same boat as you. I'm looking through my notes and I've not said anything positive about either of these guys.
Yeah.
I'll just say that Ryan Spann does have the raw power to just finish anyone if he lands. And his best part of his game is his opportunistic grappling. Like he can snatch up the guillotine in close, and secure the tap if he locks it in most of the time. But yeah, he's a big idiot, and I wouldn't trust him. And Lucas Bresky is probably one of the. I feel like the way he fights, I think he thinks he's a lot better than he actually is. Like he thinks he's one of those guys that can just skirt around, look to tag opponents with leg kicks, and just Adesanya his way to victories. But like he has no pop in his punches. He overcommits, and he slows down within like 3 minutes. Like you could literally see the bounce in his step. It just like fade away, and he just becomes a sitting duck, and he leaves his after he throws, he's like he doesn't bring his hands back up. So that's how a lot of guys have knocked him out in the past. So if I had to lean anyone, it'd be Ryan Spann, but I'm not betting Ryan Spann in 2025.
Yeah, I can see him clipping Brzeski and Brzeski somehow just like surviving and then just like taking over round 2 or 3 after Spann's gassed himself. Like anything you think can happen in this fight probably will happen. They're just two big retarded blokes going at it, and that's okay. But I don't want money on it.
Over 1.5 is plus 125. That's the only thing I looked at that could intrigue me. But
even that, like Spann could come out here and knock him out in 25 seconds, and I'd go, yeah, exactly. Makes sense.
Yeah, it looks about right.
yeah, correct. So yeah, I want nothing to do with that one. Max Blessed says Kopylov and Allen are getting beaten. We will see. We will see. We will see as we get up the card. All right, next fight up the card. That's sort of the male equivalent of WMMA breakdown there. So we'll just keep it moving pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Light heavyweight Jimmy Crute 12-4-2 taking on Marcin Prachnio 17-8. Prices. Jim Crute minus 300 in the God's Year of 2025. Prachnio plus 250 the comeback. You kick us off here.
Yeah, no worries. Jimmy Crute retired in 2023 after he lost to Alonzo Menifield by a submission. I feel like that was just in the moment kind of thing because he's gone. His last 5 fights, he has 0 wins, 3 losses, and 2 draws. And his last fight, his comeback fight against Rodolfo Bellato, I don't even want to think about the bet that we had on that. But it was one of the most sickening watches of my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jimmy Crute is still very young at age 25. But if the last fight was meant to be a rejuvenated and refreshed version of himself after a few years layoff, then he certainly reached his ceiling because he looked like shit. His stand-up is pretty low level. He's mostly a brawler with a lot of power, swings hard, and he can put you out if he connects, but he's open all day to be hit. He's slow in his movement, slow in his reaction times, and he gets tired fast, and it all goes downhill once he's tired. His work on the ground is probably the best part of his game. Like, he's very dominant when he's in top control, and he has pretty nice jiu-jitsu. Like, he likes to hunt for arm triangles and kimuras. And speaking of arm triangles, his opponent this weekend, Marcin Prachnio, he's lost his last 2 fights by arm triangle to, what's his name? Vitor Petrino and Modestas Bukauskas. Bukauskas being a guy that has gotten beaten by Jimmy Crute before. But Prachnio is 7 years older here, hasn't had a red-hot run in the UFC as well, going 4-6. But prior to joining the UFC, he did find good success in one championship. But a lot of the L's that he's been taking in the UFC has not been aging well. Like Sam Alvey got knocked out by him. Mike Rodriguez knocked out by him as well. He somehow has a win over Khalil Roundtree a few years back, which this is a Khalil Roundtree post Eric Anders fight. So this is Roundtree with a lot of hype behind him. Prachnio is a kickboxer. with a background in karate, seamlessly switches stances, throws a variety of kicks, and prefers to keep fights at kicking range, looking to point fight. Did get plenty of KOs early in his career, but as of recently, only got a body kick knockout over Ike Villanueva. Otherwise, he's just been going to decision, and he will have the clear advantage in the striking here for as long as they're standing. And I think he will look good in the striking, but he struggles in the grappling department. He gives up takedowns, control time. As I said, he has those 2 losses, which are by arm triangle to Petrino and Bukauskas, and that's why Crute is heavily favored here. But let's look at some factors. Prachnio has been submitted, yes, in his last 2 fights, but both losses were in round 3 to Bukauskas and Petrino, who, for all their faults, like they're pretty bad fighters, they are at least competitive into fights, like late into fights. They can fight a hard 15 minutes, even though they're not looking too great. In Crute's entire UFC run, which is 10 fights, he has won only 1 fight that has escaped the first round, which was against Paul Craig in 2018. Otherwise, he's just been winning in round 1. He's also losing in round 1. And in fights that gets to round 2 onwards, he's either going on to lose or have a draw. Now, Prachnio has been knocked out in round 1 many times. Alvi, Ankalaev, Rodriguez. So, I absolutely don't rule out a round 1 KO by Crute. It's pretty likely. And I also don't rule out a round 1 sub, despite me bringing up the fact that Prachnio was subbed in round 3 in both those sub losses. Like, those were fights that weren't really forcing early grappling. So if Crute was all in on the grappling here, he's got a good shot to get it done. But if we're paying minus 250 for Jimmy Crute, it surely means, or minus 300, now that you said the line's moved, it surely means they're expecting an early finish, because he will not look that price tag from rounds 2 onwards. Like, even if he ends up getting the win, it'll be an ugly win. Like, he'll only look minus 250 if Prachnio like death gasses or gives up early takedowns in both rounds. But if Prachnio can get the fight into the second round and avoid being taken down early in both those rounds, I can actually see him taking over with his striking. Crute is there to be hit, as he doesn't move his head effectively and is flat-footed. Crute's offense, both striking and grappling, will be less of a threat, as he'll be slower. Movement will be more labored, and everything he does will be just so predictable, as he loads up from a mile away and telegraphs his strikes and takedowns. Prachnio has gone to distance 4 times in UFC and won 3 of them pretty dominantly. He even outstruck Roundtree 102 to 49 strikes. So I do have a play on over 2.5 for plus 150, I believe. Over 2.5 rounds for plus 150. And I did have a little 0.75 unit stab on Marcin Prachnio at plus 215.
Interesting. I think your breakdown makes complete sense to me. What you were saying about Petrino and Bukauskas finishing him late, I think also makes complete sense. I guess the only pushback I would say to that is that I think Jimmy Crute is a far better grappler than both of those guys, and has beaten better grapplers than both of those guys have. You know, for example, Paul Craig. Submitting Paul Craig is not easy to do. So the fact that Crute's done that, as well as, you know, some of his other wins, losing to Serkinov by subs, not a huge blow to the record, because I do think he's a decent grappler himself. But yeah, to me, I think I made the mistake with Jake Matthews last week. Their training partners, obviously him and Jim Crute. Looks like they've both been training their wrestling and grappling. That's what I imagine. I think this is the purest form of a striker versus grappler matchup if both guys go in to execute on their strongest skill set. Crute's a far better wrestler and a pure grappler by a mile, but Prachnio, definitely the better kickboxer from the outside. But in my opinion, Crute will be able to compete more on the feet than Prachnio will be able to on the ground. Crute's defensively poor. He's got an average chin. He's very hittable as he slows down. Huge question marks for me there. And I think Prachnio's serviceable enough to be able to finish a guy like Crute at this point. But to me, Vettori and Modestas both just exposed Prachnio really, really badly on the mat. And I kind of feel like Jimmy just raw dogs him to the mat and subs him early. I think he's got huge sub upside. All early, though, as you mentioned. I think if this goes deep in a 2-3, the sub is sort of out of play for the most part, unless, you know, some meme thing. But Yeah, I find it hard to get to the Practice side just because I do think Jim ragdolls him early and gets him out of there. So, look, if you have a big play on Jimmy Crute, you should get like a plus 500 in the corner if Jimmy Crute does Jimmy Crute things and has his way with him round one. But yeah, definitely a potential to slow down. Pretty ugly. Minus 300, not a good price at all for a guy like Jimmy Crute. But grappling upside massive in this one for me.
Yeah, I think if it escapes the first round, I think it's going over 2.5.
Yeah,
Most likely. So yeah,
yeah,
I'll be splitting the first round, that's for sure.
yeah.
And yeah, like I said, it was only just a tiny stake on the Practice money line, but I'm mostly reliant on the over 2.5s here.
Yep, nice. Max Bless says, give some safe parlay. We do that at the end of the show, so stick around there or come back and watch that. And we go through it. Okay, next up the card we have. Oh, this is all out of sorts here. Last fight on the early prelims and one that I am pretty excited for. You can see that, all right?
Yeah.
Sweet. Let me make it touch smaller. There we go. All right, welterweight Adam Fugit 10-4 taking on Islam Dulatov 11-1. Prices. This one is going to be large. I know.
10,000.
Islam Dulatov minus 600. The comeback on Fugit plus 425. So not as bad as you're expecting, but yeah, pretty steep. All right, I'll kick this one off. Adam Fugit to me, just a kind of meh fight, like just an absolute average fighter, moderately tough and durable, but just slow and old, very plodding. I think he's a fine kickboxer and he could have upside late, but to me, he's reliant on, absorbing the early pace and pressure from Dulatov and sort of Homer Simpsoning him to a decision. No ground game, sub defense is really bad. Maybe he can hold in fights potentially. He has shown to be kind of tough, but he's also been finished where he should be finished. Look, I kind of do respect the guy because he does step up and take fights against guys that no one really wants to put their neck out and fight. Main example being Michael Morales, obviously Mike Malott. When he fought Mike Malott had the the aura of being this sort of up and coming prospect that he doesn't really have anymore. But yeah, Fugit fought him when he did have that, and now he gets Dulatov, who I've had really high expectations of this guy coming onto Dana White's Contender Series, and he delivered with a really impressive finish. He's stacked with great traits for MMA, in my opinion. He's got a big, long frame, but on an athletic body that can attack with a good combination of speed and power. He's got good footwork, impressive hand speed. He's got clear natural power and finishing instinct. Good physicality, like his clinch work also. He definitely looked to be slowing down in the Contender Series fight, but he fights with such a pace and pressure that I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked when I saw him starting to slow down, but he still managed to hit that big elbow and kill that guy on Dana White's Contender Series. He also has a range of submissions. Also, should he decide to take the fight to the mat? We haven't seen it yet. Obviously, didn't see it in Dana White's Contender Series, but I think this is a perfect time for him to showcase that, and he does have quite a few on his record. So, yeah, to me, I think Dulatov should just go out, finish him early, damage and speed, not even close. To me, I think path of least resistance is, I can see a club and sub pretty clearly. I think Dulatov pushes forward, uses his length and kickboxing from the outside. I think his speed differential is huge here, and I think he probably clips Fugit, hurts him, and I could see him subbing him. The only way I see Fugit winning is Dulatov gassing out and him taking over from damage inflicted. It could happen, but I lean more on the side that Dulatov has his way, has a showcase win here.
Yeah, nice. I don't have too much to add there. There's a few fights here I think where there's possibility for club and subs, and this would be my second choice. Yeah, Fugit's just too slow and too hittable, and he's nothing amazing skill wise. He's like he's all right everywhere, not great anywhere. He lacks athleticism and explosive power, but yeah, he's just known for being scrappy. But a part about being scrappy is that he gets hit. I do like that he's in fight ready. He's in a good training room with good coaches, and he's a guy that the UFC loves to throw prospects at, like Morales and Malott who beat him, but they also threw him that Kinoshita bloke who Fugit was a plus 260 against him, and Fugit absolutely mauled him, took him down 4 times, finished him with elbows from mount. And I will say I do have a soft spot for Adam Fugit. I took him against I can't remember from the top of my head, that Japanese looking guy.
Against Quinlan.
Quinlan, yeah. Took him there, and everyone was on Josh Quinlan in that fight. But yeah, I think Dulatov surely, like, I think he runs through him. The only thing is, like, the competition has been pretty low level. Like, the records of his last few opponents have been like 16-6, 20-12, 42-19. So it's hard to tell the exact level he's at this point of his career. But I think he's bound. He's got a high trajectory, and the UFC are giving him a few good because they think pretty highly of him. I
Yeah.
think he probably gets like a nice early finish here if it doesn't go late or it doesn't like blow his load. But yeah, I do favor a club and sub actually.
Yeah, I'm with you. They don't come much more marketable than this guy. Like,
He's a model.
he's a model. He's a good looking bloke. He has an awesome fighting style, like to watch as a fan, because he just gets in there, it just brawls and goes nuts. I'm just trying to look at so his submission line is plus 275, maybe we'll probably get plus 350, I reckon.
Yeah,
Compared to his TKO, which is minus 150. I don't hate it. I really
yeah,
don't hate it. Just
not,
given how soft Fugit is, but I can
yeah.
also see him just hurting him and then just like unleashing and making the ref step in. So yeah, not the worst shot at all. Not the worst shot.
Yeah, and one thing very telling was in his that contender series fight. I believe he had his opponent hurt pretty early, and he didn't like rush him. He just kind
Yeah.
of laid back and was just. That's what got him. That's what made him look like he was slowing down, as well. Yeah,
And I actually liked that he stopped when he was starting to slow down, because you could see it in his his movement and stuff like that. He was breathing pretty heavy and he looked like he was starting to slow down. He immediately stopped going for the straight long shots and he started going for all the elbows,
yeah,
which I actually like, because obviously when you've got less gas, you're not going to be able to throw through that backhand or that power hand, but you can still meet the target halfway and use all that power from the elbow. So yeah,
exactly.
I actually was pretty impressed by that. Max Bless says, good analysis, brothers. Thank you, sir.
My man.
More to come. All right, up the card we go. Middleweight. We have Atiba Gordier 7-1 taking on Robert Valentin 11-5. Prices, I'm assuming we're doing another big favorite thing.
Another huge one.
Yeah, minus 550. The comeback on Robert Valentin plus 400. Ryan, what do you got?
Yeah. Look, Atiba Gautier is a physical specimen. A lot of knockout power. He has 6 knockout wins, 5 in the first round, and his game is to like come at you from the opening bell, like sort of measured, but also like aggressive. Throw heavy combinations in the pocket. What I love about him is that he always has his feet like set under him when he's unloading. Like he really twists his hips with every punch, and he actually like mixes it up pretty well. Like he's obviously swinging massive like big hooks and big right hands, but he's also sneaking in like short and tight uppercuts and hooks in there too. So, and on top of that, if he ends up on top of opponents on the ground, like he has pretty brutal ground and pound, which is how he finished his contender series opponent Yura Nato. But in that same fight, he showed that he can be taken down and controlled for long periods of time too. Like Nato took him down halfway through round 1 and controlled him easily till the round ended. And in a fight I watched in the regionals against a guy named Yu Zhou a few fights back, before he massacred him, he was taken down with one of the easiest double leg attempts ever. But he's probably improving at a rapid rate, being so young and athletically gifted. Whether he's natural or not, who knows? But I bring that up because he's up against a pretty crafty grappler. Like Valentin, he's 0-2 in the UFC. Yes, he lost against Ryan Loder by knockout. He got ground and pounded in that fight. But he did have him in 2 pretty tight sub attempts. And then he lost to Torres Finney by unanimous decision, got taken down 8 times and gave up 13 minutes of control time. Also note in the regionals, he was also knocked out by Ibo Aslan. But nonetheless, despite bad results, he is a tricky guy. He's not like great by any means, but just tricky. Like he has a kick-orientated striking game, a wide variety of kicks, and like he does throw in high outputs. He does have nice timing with punches and elbows as opponents rush in, but in the boxing, range in the pocket, he's very poor. Like stands very upright, has his chin up, and is very easy to counter. And I think he gets knocked out cold very quickly if he entertains any extended period of time striking. His grappling is probably where he's most comfortable. However, like even then, he's getting dominated by other grapplers, mostly like wrestlers. But he is pretty well versed there. Like he uses his flexibility in jiu-jitsu to get himself in like better positions. And if he can take the back, he can like very much lock in that rear naked choke. Now, I give Valentin a chance here because I was personally on a guy named Carlos Vera at plus 1300 by sub
Here we
against
go.
Zayas Musasa. One of my that's hands down my proudest bet of 2025. And you can sort of compare Musasa and Gautier here
Because they're black.
and athletically gifted and just because they're black. But look, yeah, Gautier being so green and a fight finisher, that could open doors for lapses in decision making, questionable IQ moments, or overall experience in certain positions, like all of which Valentin could very much take advantage of. Like Gautier does have a willingness to go to the ground and I can honestly see him like seeing red, chasing and finishing, finding himself in a sub attempt. It's very possible. But now that I got that out of the way, I think Gautier knocks him out within 3 minutes.
Yeah, great breakdown. And all jokes aside, I actually think that comparison with Musasa is actually a decent one because they are just both insanely physically gifted and genetically gifted. Maybe genetically, I don't know. But very, very raw and green. I guess my issue with this fight is that, like, Robert is like it's a striker versus grappler, but I haven't really been impressed with like Robert's offensive wrestling. Like he's been grappling, and hit some nice reversals against Loader and stuff like that. But he's not going to be able. Like I don't know if he's going to be able to just double leg Gautier. Like I haven't seen that in his wheelhouse. Like to me, he's been grappling when he's been put on the back foot and had to either sweep or reverse or work it in a defensive way. Whereas I haven't really seen him be massively offensive with it, which is what he's going to need against Gautier because he's going to get slaughtered on the feet. So yeah, I'm with you. I think Gautier goes out there. Look, I get the angle on the Valentin grappling thing for sure. I think if it does get there, he will, look to have some upside. But I think Gautier is just so raw and powerful. I think he probably hurts him to the body and just finishes him. I can see Valentin just getting crumpled against the cage. And then Gautier's landing a couple follow-up shots to get him out of there.
Yeah, I see just like a 1 or 2 minute like demolition job.
I think so too. I think this is a UFC's attempt of like going, here's a grappler versus striker, but it's like Valentin's not going to wrestle him for 15 minutes and put him in, bad offensive spots like that. The only way I see that happening is if Gautier enters on him and Robert Valentin sort of, looks for a leg and sweeps or something like that. And I just don't see that happening. So, yeah, Gautier by KO for me as well. Alrighty, up the card to welterweight, we got Francisco Prado, 12-3, Nikolai Veretennikov, 12-6. Not gonna lie, I thought this motherfucker got booted from the UFC. I legit thought he got kicked from the UFC after he. Remember when he pushed
Vanderford?
Van Zandt's husband. I thought they said he was gone.
No, yeah, I think Dana. I looked at it. I looked at the post-fight press conference, and I think Dana actually like defended him. He said like someone brought up the Paul Daly thing, and he was like, "Well, Paul Daly threw a punch. Vanderford pushed him."
Yeah, right. Maybe it was just people calling for him to be gone.
Yeah.
Okay, prices. We have Prado minus 145, Veretennikov plus 125, the underdog. I will kick us off here. I'll start with Veretennikov. I'm not impressed with this guy at all. I kind of think he's average everywhere. He's not good anywhere. Wrestling being kind of non-existent in the UFC, and to me, he's got nothing to offer off his back. Striking-wise, low output, hasn't looked damaging at all, and to me, I wouldn't give huge upside to confidently win a striking fight even here in this spot. I don't have a lot of good to say about Veretennikov because I haven't seen a lot of good in the UFC so far. And he's 35, getting older. Yeah, not a lot to love there in my opinion. Francisco Prado comes to fight. He's going to be in your face for 15 minutes. I still think welterweight is a tough sell for him. He just seems so undersized to me, and it's going to be here again. Like, it's going to be at a height advantage, disadvantage every single fight, and probably a reach disadvantage every single fight too. Shot for shot, I think I favour Prado in this fight. I feel like I can trust him to throw more, regardless of range and distances. I can trust him to wear more shots also, which is not a great thing. But yeah, he's just very unintelligent defensively. But he's shown to be very, very durable and to be able to, take shots. I just don't want him to have to rely on that. He hasn't showed me really much offensive wrestling or grappling chops. He did take down Matthews early in that round. I think it was late in the round, in round one. But he wasn't able to hold him down for a massive amount of time here. Overall, I don't know. This is a weird fight. I kind of trust Prado to want to fight more. Verotenikov has just looked so poor to me everywhere in the UFC. Prado's a hard guy to want to bet on, just given, lack of athletic tools in terms of just being undersized and his overall skill set. But gun to my head, I think he's going to do more. And I think he's got more to give. So, yeah, I think Prado's the side in this one, as gross as it feels.
Yeah, I've got the exact same. I got nothing more to add on that. Like Francisco Prado, I feel he's the side, but I don't like how he's just staying at welterweight. Like
Yeah.
against Jake Matthews. Jake Matthews is not like a massive welterweight, but he looked every bit a weight class like bigger than Prado.
Yeah.
And is Verotenikov going to be the guy to take advantage of the weight? I don't think he has that style really.
No.
Like he's just a striker, and if anything, like I think Prado will get this done just by doing more. Verotenikov is also like 0-3, like in the under the UFC banner, he's 35, and yeah, I just don't see unless Verotenikov suddenly develops like really good takedown defense and Prado is just all in on his wrestling, which I don't even see that really happening. Yeah, I just Prado's aside.
Yeah, it's an ugly one to want to be involved in. I think
Oh,
the
I'm not
books have
betting it. Yeah.
I think that the books have done pretty well, to be honest. I think if the prices were flipped, I'd play Prado almost instantly. I think
Mm.
underdog price is a very good price, but that slight favorite, it's like probably justified and really no need to rush towards. All right, up the card to the next fight. We have full of middleweight fights this card. Probably why it's so fucking shit. Um, Marvin Vettori, 19-8-1, taking on Brendan Allen, 24-7. Prices, we have Brendan Allen, -205, the comeback Vettori, +175. Ryan, tell me what you think about the Italian Stallion and Brendan All-in Allen.
First off, I'm pretty surprised to see this fight like being so far down the card, like
Yeah,
especially because Brendan Allen is I think he's from Louisiana, and
yeah, he's around that area for
yeah,
sure.
so very surprised, but yeah, I think these guys they're both on a pretty downward trajectory. They both like had their time in the sun. Marvin Vettori somehow got that title shot, and Brendan Allen just never quite lived up to the potential. And they're both just being overtaken by these like really good prospects and probably better veterans as well. Marvin Vittori's got a pretty simple style to break down. Like he's just a boxer. Like he stands out of southpaw stance, kind of. He just gauges reactions or draws out attacks, and then will just come in with simple boxing combos. He's neither fast or explosive, doesn't have any knockout power, but he's got good timing and can be sharp depending on opponents. But he absorbs so much damage, like particularly to his head, and he just eats it. And I don't like how he looked. I just don't like how he looked against Roman Dolidze in that 5 rounder. He was a guy that Vittori's beaten in the past by a close margin, but he just didn't look like his head was in it. Um, Brendan Allen, on the other hand, he's known for his grappling and he does solid work on the feet, but I just don't. I think he has like some sort of like identity crisis or something. Like I mean, like
The
some
fuck, the fox hat he wears and does that. That didn't give it away at the weigh-ins when he
that
does
he
that
does that,
shit.
but also he tries to sometimes be like come off as like a really humble guy, but not only in like his personality or his fight style as well. Like he sometimes like he'll look really good on the feet, and sometimes he just won't trust. his work on the feet at all. Like against who was that last fight? I think Imavov was his last fight. No, Fluffy.
Yeah, Fluff.
If he just, I actually think that was a winnable fight if he just kept it standing. He was getting the better of the striking exchanges, but he was just so insistent on chasing the takedown, and he was just getting reversed. And then, yeah, he just gave up too much minutes in that fight. But he is known for being a rear naked choke specialist. Of his 14 subs, he has 11 rear naked chokes, and even in the amateurs, he has 5 wins by submission, all by rear naked chokes. I do think his middleweight run is a bit fraudulent. Like that last win was that short notice Chris Curtis fight. Like that was a fight where it was just optics in that last round that got him the 48-47. But before that, it beat a whole lot of favorable matchups. Andre Muniz, Paul Craig, Bruno Silva, Christoph Jotko, Sal Malvi. And the only good name I can pick out of those like wins was Jacob Malkoon, which if you rewatch that fight, Allen got 2 takedowns with 3 minutes, just over 3 minutes of control time, while Malkoon had 7 takedowns with just over 7 minutes of control time. So yeah, I do think his work up the rankings was a bit fraudulent, but I think his grappling will be what decides this. I like his chances here in a 3-rounder. He could very well get on top of Vettori in 2 of these 3 rounds, but I don't see a finish on either guy. If anything, it could be Brendan Allen, like finding that rear naked choke after a while. But yeah, I think Brendan Allen wins this fight.
Very nice. Yeah, I agree with you. The point you made about the salty record is a huge one that I think we need to touch on for sure, because those names are terrible. They are terrible. Like Alvi, Jotko, Muniz, Silva, Paul Craig, Curtis, even. They're all aging terribly. And then you got a guy like Vettori who's, losing to Delize, which I think it's a bad, like, I feel like it's a bad loss, but it's still better than Paul Craig, Silva, Muniz, Jotko.
Yeah.
It's still probably better than all of them. And then you go back further than that. It's obviously the Cannonier, Whitaker, Costa, Adesanya. Like, Vettori's facing the best guys most of the time in his career. The issue with Vettori is that he has zero power, zero damage output, zero defense. And now he gets into a 3-rounder, which I think also doesn't benefit his style. So, yeah, this is a tough one. I kind of feel for Vettori. Obviously, he had his brother that passed away,
Yeah.
I don't know, like maybe 6 months ago or something like that. And have we seen him since I don't think we've seen him since that, right?
No.
Yeah,
that was
so
only a few months ago.
Yeah, so I feel like he's gonna. Yeah, I don't know. I don't love that he's clearly going through quite a bit in his life, and am I expecting a guy who's 31 and taking a fuckload of damage to come in here and look like this reinvented style? Not really. I think we know sort of how this fight's going to play out. I think if it's on the feet, Brendan Allen, huge upside. Vettori is not. He just doesn't, put out enough damage and make people worry enough about what's coming back. And Brendan Allen is a good kickboxer, can land big shots. I guess the real question to me is, like, can someone finish Marvin Vettori? Because he's, terrible defensively. He takes a crazy amount of shots every fight, but he doesn't get finished. So maybe this is a fight where that changes and Allen cracks him. But, it's hard for me to see Vettori winning this one. Like, if it was 5 rounds, I would be more interested in getting on the Vettori line. But, like, how do you see Vettori winning? How could you see Vettori winning, in your opinion?
Well, it'd have to be like a perfect 3-round unanimous decision where he doesn't get taken down.
Yeah, it's like a drop round 1, win round 2, round 3, best case, right?
Yeah, best case.
That's what I think too. Like, I can't see him knocking Brendan Allen out. I can't see him submitting Brendan Allen. Although, like, I don't know, I was just scrolling his timeline then. Do you remember the Roberson fight? Carl Roberson?
Vettori?
With Vettori, yeah?
No, not really.
Like, that was a while ago. The only reason I brought it up is because there was a hell of a lot of vitriol around that fight. Like, those two guys fucking hated each other. They hated each other. There was a huge, big build up. There was a lot of cancelled bouts and stuff like that. And they finally got in, and Vettori took him down and subbed him straight away. There's a similar amount of vitriol in this fight. Obviously, they both got into it at that casino and things like that. Maybe that plays out to Vittori's advantage, where Allen just gets, comes in thinking he wants to take the guy's head off, and that, doesn't play to his advantage. But I think Brendan Allen can match him in the grappling. I think on the feet he's a better striker. 3 rounds is a tick for him, in my opinion. So, yeah, I think, unfortunately, it's Allen or pass in this spot.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully it's a good fight, though. It could be a good fight. It could also be an absolute shit show.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure which way it's going to go yet.
Yeah, I will say I do have Vettori and Allen in a fight goes the distance in a parlay. So
yeah,
I'm pretty confident. That was probably my most confident read on this fight.
Yeah, nice. Max Boy says Allen versus Vettori going to distance easily. Yeah, that's what Ryan's saying too. We have 70 viewers over on X. That is brilliant.
Oh.
That might be maybe a new record, not sure.
Might just be.
So thank you for everyone who's tuning in. We are almost working our way towards the top. We should be about 5 or 6 more fights to go. So hang in there with us. All right, next one, and one that I am pretty excited for, and to see where we line up on this one. Bantamweight, Phillips 12-3, taking on Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira 22-3. Prices, we have Vinicius Oliveira minus 150. The comeback on Phillips plus 130. Plus 130. You and I have I'd say a good history with Lockdog.
We do.
We have a good history with Lockdog. He's been, a guy that I enjoy watching, enjoy betting, enjoy pretty much everything. Purely because he gets these big, hefty underdog price tags. And delivers. Against Said, now Magomedov plus 135. Against Ricky Simon plus 210. Pretty sure we had him in both of those fights, correct?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. And there's a few things that I really love about this guy. One is his physicality. He is huge for bantamweight. He is an athletic beast. He is a walking supplement shop 100%. From Brazil. It's clear as day. But he's just so physical. He just walks you down. He's not particularly technical in any any facet of the game in terms of his defense, offense, anything. I don't think he's a guy that you're ever going to say, wow, this guy's super technical. But what he is a marauder. He's just going to walk forward, take your best shots, and just keep coming. And to me, when I looked at this fight kind of on the surface, I thought, wow, this is a tailor-made matchup for him, given that Kyler Phillips is a guy that, wants to strike early, wants to be flashy, and put this, a lot of spinning shit out, a lot of wasted movement and energy. And against a guy like Lockdog who, just walks you down, and against a guy like Kyler Phillips who slows down, it seems like a bad matchup as soon as you look at it. But I kind of dig a bit deeper, and I think I might get to a Kyle Phillips play here, which kind of surprised me. The main reason being, look, Vinicius Oliveira, I think he's defensively very, very susceptible on the feet. He's been knocked out twice, maybe 3 times on the regional scenes. And you can see why when you see him fight. He doesn't have much awareness in terms of defense. He kind of doesn't see shots coming a lot. Against Said, he got hurt bad to the body. I think it was like a spinning back kick from memory. But he did get hurt to the body. He just was able to take over with the pressure. I also think Kyler Phillips potentially has wrestling upside here. I question Vinicius's takedown defense a little bit. He's been able to rely on pure physicality and just being able to just, push off and get up through just muscle and athleticism. And I actually do think Kyler Phillips is a decent enough wrestler that he can employ takedowns if he wants to. The caveat being to that is that he will slow down if he takes those shots and Vinicius is able to fight them off. So that is a little bit scary. But to me on the feet, I actually think Phillips has a big potential to knock him out, which I didn't come into this fight thinking that I would settle on that, but that's where I have landed. And the main reason also being is that Vinicius is a minus 150 favourite. It's not like we're getting him at plus 150 or plus 200 when you can afford to bet on this marauder to walk him down. And it does seem like a good time to get on the Kyler Phillips train after that loss to Rob Font where he did look really, really shit. But that's a top 10, previously a top 10 guy. Pedro Munoz, a Raoni Barcelos. Those guys he looked really good against, and he employed some good tools with the wrestling and stuff like that I think he can actually pull out here and have some success against Lockdog. Lockdog's path to victory is to take over 2-3, in my opinion. And I actually think Kyler Phillips can squeak out a couple of different methods of victory here. I think he can potentially knock the Lockdog out. I think he could potentially submit Lockdog. I think he could potentially win a decision. I think he's live in all three assets. So for me, it's dog or pass. And I think I may get to a dog shot here, which surprised me because I love my Lockdog.
Nah, beautiful breakdown, man. Yeah, like Kyler Phillips, he's technical all round, like sharp with his kickboxing, fast, got power in his hands, very elusive. He lands at a high clip, defends at a high clip. Like one look through his striking numbers, we can highlight the Pedro Munoz fight where he outlanded him 114 to 52 significant strikes. And he has a very well-versed ground game to match, averages 2.63 takedowns per fight, has a very good takedown defense accuracy. He's literally like the embodiment of a great fighter on paper. But he's also a very good fighter, like all around. Like he's usually a favorite in fights, and I've parlayed him in the past comfortably. The only losing bet I've had on him so far is the Rob Font fight, which was he took over, which I'll get to later on. But he has some wins that are aging very nicely too. Song Yudong and Raoni Barcelos. And here, for the first time, it feels like a while, he's coming in at plus money to Lockdog, who Lockdog is someone that we love to back, but we love to back him as an underdog.
Yeah.
He's currently 3-0 in his UFC run. He had that flying knee knockout on Bernardo Sopai, where I believe he was losing up until that point, or at least lost round 1, and then round 2 was starting to get to take over, and round 3 Sopai just absolutely death gassed, which it was on short notice anyway, I believe. Then Lockdog dominated Ricky Simone. We got him at a good number there, and he beat Saeed Nurmagomedov in a very gritty 3-rounder where he fought injured, outworked him after giving up the first round. And as you stated, Vinicius, you're not going to look at him and be like, oh, this guy's technical. Like, this guy's like some great kickboxer. But I do love his aggression and like his wild striking. Whips out the fast kicks from distance, and he actually is pretty good with his counters, and he really thrives when he's in close with his boxing combos. Like, he uses straight punches as his entry, plants his feet in the pocket, and he always ends his combos with massive hooks, which has led to many of his knockouts. I do add that he has developed pretty good anti-grappling, like since the Sopai fight. Pretty good takedown defense. He can scramble, sprawl, and end up on top, and if he does end up on the top, he's pretty he works really hard there. And on top of that, he does have an endless gas tank, which gets me to this. Kyler Phillips, he almost always wins round 1. I'm pretty sure in all of his fights he's won round 1. And Lockdog, a lot of the time, definitely like wins round 3 by a larger margin, and round 2 is pretty much the toss-up round. I brought up earlier how Phillips is a great fighter on paper, but I think one aspect of this fight where he would be lacking against Lockdog. Like he'll have a lot of advantages over him, technical striking, grappling, but I think Oliveira has just more dog in him.
Yeah, 100%.
Carla Phillips.
100%.
And in a pretty fight where Phillips is getting the better of exchanges, tagging guys up, and being a step ahead is where he thrives. And from there, like when he's comfortable, he doesn't it's like he doesn't panic. He's just like going through the motions, and that's why like a lot like the Pedro Munoz fight, he kept up a pretty good pace and maintained it. But I feel like when other guys eat his shots, come forward and land on him as well as defend his takedowns, they have their own grappling success and start building momentum. Like he begins to sort of like fall apart a little bit. Like he's less flowy. You can see he's thinking more and mentally stressing, which ends up sapping at his gas tank. And on top of that, you have Vinicius Oliveira's physicality, like further like sapping at his gas tank if he can't take him down. And I do lean that to happen here. Like I feel he will win round one, but as Oliveira builds into the fight and starts turning it up, he'll start separating himself to win rounds two, and then win round three by a large margin. But it comes down to that round two. So I am going to pick Oliveira. I only have one play in this fight. I had him in that parlay with Allen and Vettori. Fight goes the distance. I have this fight to go over 2.5 rounds. But
That
yeah,
might
I
be a
think
sweaty one, maybe.
yeah, it might be a sweaty one, but I do like I do like the dog shot on Phillips.
Yeah, I'm almost tempted to. I can see him. Please tell me you can imagine this as well, right? It's round one. It's fairly back and forth, competitive. Phillips wheel kick, spinning wheel kick, and Lockdog just doesn't see it coming. Doesn't move his head. Doesn't
Can
do
see that.
anything. Bang, temple, hurt, down. I can just see. I can literally see it, which scares the living hell out of me. All that spinning stuff will slow Phillips down long term, but I do think he can have success in hitting Oliveira, which scares me. I
Yeah,
love my lock dog. I hope he wins. I want him to progress up the ladder, but plus 130 on Phillips does feel like a really good price, to be honest.
yeah, I agree with that. Do you have access to the plus 3.5 handicap?
Yeah, I think it's on Bet 365. I'm pretty sure. Hang on. I
No.
don't know if I got my phone on. I don't have my phone on me.
Yeah, if
I'll,
they
I'll,
have it on there, that's a nice. He's
I'll,
almost always going to win that round one.
I'll grab it when you do your next breakdown. I'll go grab it and have a look. But yeah, we'll keep moving up the card anyway. Okay, probably save some time. I would imagine on this one, Michael Johnson 24-19 taking on Daniel Zellhuber 15-2. I'm gonna guess minus 650. That's my eyes closed guess. Let me have a quick look. Yep, Daniel Zellhuber minus 600. The comeback on
Yeah.
MJ plus 425. All right, you take it away. I'm gonna go find my phone quickly and look at this price. Be right back.
Yeah, no worries. I don't have a big breakdown on this one. Michael Johnson he's known as a guy who can beat anyone and lose to anyone. You just have to look through his record and see the results there. Like he beat Tony Ferguson at his best days, beat Dustin Poirier by knockout, and beat Edson Barbosa as well. But he has losses to Stevie Ray and Darren Elkins. But overall, I think his chances against surging contenders of like the caliber we're getting Daniel Zellhuber is quite low. Zellhuber is returning after that loss to Esteban Ribovic last year, where he was nearly finished in the third round. And look, I love the long layoff, and I love the camp he's in, and he showed a lot in that third round by eating those shots, and like he was just along the fence, just constantly moving. He wanted to be in that fight. Other fighters would have just absolutely crumbled there. But yeah, Michael Johnson has fast, powerful hands. He's mostly a threat in the pocket. And Zellhuber is pretty skilled at using his long range weapons and distance management to just keep the fight long. And I see him tagging Michael Johnson up from the opening bell with his jab, straight rights, and kicks. I think he will ease his way into the fight, though, like get his reads, build confidence and momentum. And yeah, I think we're going to get a really nice and measured performance through the first two rounds from Zellhuber. And I actually think he can get a finish in that third round. Like Zellhuber's average fight time is about 13 minutes, and Michael Johnson's is about on the 11-minute mark. So I do think it'll go to that third. And yeah, I played Daniel Zellhuber round three or decision prop at plus 103 for 1.5 units. And I am probably going to add a like quarter unit on Zellhuber to win in round three.
Very nice. Just quickly, Kyler Phillips plus $3.5, $1.64 on Bet365. So
I like that.
yeah. Michael Johnson is, what do we call him? The best or the worst round one fighter I think it might be the best.
The best.
Yeah, the best. He kind of can win round one against anyone, and then round two he just gets nuked by everyone. So, if you're gonna take him, just play him round one because
Yeah.
he's either gonna knock Zellhuber out round one or not gonna win
Yeah,
effectively.
if he did those Dan Hooker 1 minute fights, he'd be like
The goat,
champion for years.
the goat, dude. I'm seeing plus 2,800 on Johnson round one on fight odds. I don't know if that's a real price that's out there, but I could see it there. It's either like it's going to be plus 2,000. Who cares? Let's go. Let's go. Let's just ride Michael Johnson round one. Zellhuber's so hittable. You can't
Yeah.
tell me he's not.
No, he is hittable. He is very
He's
hittable.
he's super hittable. He's still very green. Look, is he the better fighter? Yes, by a country mile, and he will probably win this fight. But you give me plus 2,500 on Michael Johnson round one. I'll have a little sprinkle, little
I
sprinkle.
like it.
He's losing though for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to donate some for that. That's okay.
Hopefully loses in round 3.
Yeah, yeah, correct. All right, up the card to the featherweight division, we have Dan 50K Ige 19-9 taking on Patricio Pitbull 36-8. Prices, we have a Dan Ige minus 220, and the comeback on Patricio is plus 185. I'll kick this one off quickly. I find this a weird fight. I find this a very weird fight to break down.
Yeah.
Patricio Pitbull, look, just I don't know what to make of him at this point. I thought he looked awful against Yair Rodriguez, who I also kind of think is awful at this point. So I really don't know where to rank that win. He's 38 now. He's small for featherweight. He's coming in here against a power puncher. In Dan Ige, who, yes, is a power puncher, but is probably going to have a volume advantage. Just like Patricio didn't throw anything in that debut fight against Yair in the UFC, which severely concerned me. Look, is he going to come out here and grapple? Maybe. But I think Ige can deal with it fine enough. Look, Ige's been up and down for a while. He beats like that lower level of guy. The late Nate Landwehr's and the Damon Jacksons and those kind of guys who are, they step below the ranked level. He beats them rather easily, I'd say. Even the Andre Phillies, like that sort of contender guy that's not ranked, and then he moves up and he loses to good guys like Lopez and Murphy. And I kind of think that's where he's going to remain for his career. Like I just don't see him being a top 5 guy or a championship threat, but he will keep beating those guys because he does have good assets. He's he's a decent grappler. He's a decent wrestler. He's clearly got power in his hands. He's durable. He's got good traits to keep him in there against guys. And look, I was pretty impressed with how he looked against Lerone. Hurt Lerone bad. I thought he looked pretty good in that fight. And then the Lopez one he took on short notice, obviously. A lot of back and forth. I try not to read into that fight too much because there was a lot of bullshit on both sides with Lopez cutting weight many times. And then obviously that most recent win over Sean Woodson where he looked good, then got that weird finish. I find it very hard to see Patricio. Look, I mean, it's hard to look worse than he looked against Yair. I'm going to be honest. He looked fucking awful. No volume, no output, no nothing. Didn't look confident. Looked old. There's a lot of things he looked really poorly with. And look, maybe he comes out here and he wrestles and he has some success. But I kind of think Ige is going to be the one throwing more volume, landing more damage, and just wanting to fight more. So I kind of think Dan Ige is the side here, as much as it is a weird one. The Pitbull signing was always kind of strange to me, but I think Ige is going to win this one, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm with you there, man. You could attribute that fight against Yair Rodriguez to be like octagon jitters as well. And but yeah, he barely looked like he wanted to win. But I will say, having a guy like as tricky as Yair Rodriguez in front of you when you have octagon jitters and like Pitbull being like pretty like fundamental in his approach, like it could like I'm sort of not surprised that he froze in that fight. Like and another thing I'll say is I think if Dan Ige was to go out there against Yair, he definitely would be coming out throwing and like he'd put on a much better performance. But I feel like he would have just been outstruck by Rodriguez for just as much as Pitbull was, pending that Ige didn't find Yair's chin at any point with a wild swing. But yeah, Dan Ige is just always game. Very powerful hands, can knock out anyone if he connects, but he does have a pretty limited skill set, which is why you get like the sort of record he has. Like he beats guys he should beat, and he loses to guys he probably should lose to. And here he's favored against Pitbull, who had that very bad UFC debut and is 38, and he looked every bit 38 in that fight. So you can't be too enthused with Pitbull's last performance. And Ige being in his physical and athletic prime at age 33, I think. And I think I do like the camp he has behind him. Like I think based on like some interviews I saw with Eric Nixick, it sounds like he's at this stage of his career where they know where he's good at. They know what his limitations are, and his approaches to fights are more like game planning, like specifics, rather than teaching him like new skills. Admittedly, like if I wanted to, I haven't watched much tape on Pitbull because you'd have to go through a lot of like Bellator fights against nothing opponents. But yeah, from what I've seen in the last few performances, I just have no confidence in this guy like that much. So yeah, I'll take Ige to win here.
Yeah, like he'd really have to turn the clock around to be able to come out here and look a much better better version of himself than he did in the last fight. I kind of just find it hard to see happening. Could happen. It's a big price tag, but yeah, I kind of think Ige wins. Okay, up the card to the feature fight of the evening. I'm pretty keen to see what you think of this one because I feel like these are more D-Rod. He's the guy that
D-Rod's my boy.
Yeah, you've been able to nail. So I'm interested to see where you land on this one. But we have Kevin Holland, 28-13, taking on D-Rod Daniel Rodriguez, 19-5 prices. We have a Kevin Holland minus 460, a D-Rod plus 360. Ryan, tell the people, is this where D-Rod delivers for the boys as a ginormous underdog?
Look, to put some background into it, if there was one fighter in the entire time that I've been betting or following UFC that I can at least claim to be successful betting on, it's D-Rod. Backed him in his debut against Tip Means. He was a plus 260 dog. He was a plus 25 dog against Kevin Lee. Had a bet on him by decision against Mike Perry. And in his last fight, I confidently took him for 2 units as a plus 120 dog against Ponzinibbio. And on top of that, I've had like success fading him too. Had Ian Gary moneyline to anchor a few parlays. I thought Gary would find a KO in that fight too, but just wasn't confident enough to bet it. But also got Neil Magny too as a slight underdog to beat him. This week, I don't like his chances. Holland will be significantly faster, more explosive, and will have a huge advantage in height and reach. Those attributes alone will make him tricky to deal with for a guy as purely boxing orientated as D-Rod. Like, I think a lot of the reason why D-Rod is just sort of one of those easier fighters to get a read of is because his style is just so simple. Like he's a boxer, stands out of a southpaw stance, has a nice pumping jab that he works behind, an accurate one too, and he does string together nice combos in the pocket. But he's just never been fast twitch or explosive. He's actually quite slow, and his strikes look very telegraphed. But he has good timing and thudding power. Like he's a guy that matches up well with certain styles and is very exploitable against certain styles. And I think here it'll look like he'll be in slow motion compared to like Holland. And I see D-Rod overextending on shots and leaving himself wide open when he attacks and being wide open as well when he's defending. Like the only counter shot he really throws if he's moving backward is his check left hook, which I doubt hits the mark on Holland, who'll be like so much taller. Look, Holland is by no means a high level striker. Like he's got consequential weapons at kickboxing range, in the pocket and in the clinch. And he's unpredictable with his timing. And he's like a healthy mix of being measured and being wild. What I also like for him is he has second and third phases of attacks that often catch guys out. Like he will throw a kick or straight right from like far away, then offbeat will leap in with a wild 3-punch combo and then grab a hold of the clinch, work in knees and elbows, or can snatch the neck too from that range, just like how he got Luke Gay. Holland, for the most part, loses to guys who can dominate him in grappling or are like striking specialists like MVP, Wonderboy, Jack Della Maddalena, and D-Rod is neither of those two. So yeah, I love D-Rod, but he is as simple of a boxer as it gets. I think Holland can finish D-Rod here. It'll be sort of competitive in round one while they're fresh. And I just see Holland getting ahead of him as D-Rod's like slowing down and Holland's getting like some good reads. So I like Holland to win here by submission, actually.
Yeah, I'm with you. Unfortunately, it would bring me, nothing would bring me more joy than to see D-Rod come out here, throw some gang signs at Kevin Holland and jab his face off from distance. But
Mhm.
while that may happen, and hopefully that does happen because that does sound pretty funny, Kevin Holland is just, like you said, more power, more speed, better grappler, and I feel like that's enough at this point. D-Rod 38, I think durability waning, fair to say.
Yeah.
Not expecting a better version of him. Holland at welterweight, massive tick, always should have been down here. And I think he takes advantage again. I think he finishes him by submission. I also think submission. So
Yeah. You made a play on it?
I haven't made a play yet, but it's something I was eyeing off all week. I think it's the easy. I mean, maybe that's scaring me off because it does seem like the easiest path to victory, and nothing with Kevin Holland is simple or easy. So that does scare me a little bit. But yeah, I think if he gets it down to the ground, his Das or Anaconda or any of those front headlock series,
Yeah.
going to give D-Rod a hell of a time.
Yeah. It's plus 320 right now, and
Okay.
I like that play.
Okay.
I put it on.
All right, let's discuss that at the end for sure. We'll definitely touch back on that. Okay, up the card, co-main event of the evening, we have Paulo Costa 14-4, another middleweight shit show, fucking full of it. This card, Roman Kopylov 14-3. Prices, we have a Kopylov minus 225 and a Costa plus 190 to 200 area, somewhere in that range. All right, I'll kick this one off. I have long loved my boy Paulo. He has, he's a guy that I've wanted to take a few shots on, and I feel like, we've gotten unlucky on him. What comes to mind for me is he always seems to get priced around this plus 200 range-ish, I would say. Like, he was that against Sean Strickland. He was about that against Robert Whittaker. I took the shot on him against both of them, which in hindsight may be more of an issue on my behalf, but the Sean Strickland split should never have been a split. He got dominated in that fight, was not even close. Hand up accountability, I can say that myself as a bloke who had a Paulo moneyline play there.
I did too. And I think we both bet it on Neds. So we got this split decision payout.
Yes, that would make sense. And the Whittaker one, I would take that shot again every day of the week. Plus 200, he spin kicks Whittaker, has him hurt, potentially could finish him, doesn't. Whittaker rallies and wins the fight. So I don't hate the shot there. At plus 200, that is a great shot in my opinion. And that's the kind of, I'm trying not to get burnt and scared off it because of those last two losses. But I honestly think he's live again at this price, which I hate because all I've done is donate on this guy. But against a guy like Kopylov, who isn't going to push a monster pace, does slow down in fights, potentially has grappling weakness, off his back, potentially. He's got a lot of ticks, don't get me wrong. Obviously, the main one that comes to mind is Southpaw versus Orthodox. That sets up Kopylov's backside, rear side really, really well. Whether it's his rear hand, his rear kick, everything that he's best at, in my opinion, which is that kickboxing with the power side. Not only because of the power he holds, but the speed he throws with and the technique just to be able to whip it, that back leg to the head very quickly. I see that being a major, major tool for him in this fight, as it is in most of his fights. But Costa is wickedly durable, holds a decent output most of the time, can wrestle, can cage clinch, can push. And I don't know, plus 250 for Kopylov, who, best win so far is Curtis. Curtis?
Yeah, Chris Curtis. Well, it's definitely not Josh Fremd.
Yeah, it's not Josh Fremd. It's not Cesar Almeida, so I suppose it has to be. But, this is a guy that got wrestle fucked by Albert Duraev, not a whole length of time ago. I don't take any stock away from the fluffy loss. I thought he performed pretty admirably, all things considered, in that one. And I actually had a little nibble on him. So clearly I'm fucking dreadful at betting both of these guys. But I don't know. To me, this is in a mixed martial arts fight, I think Costa has a decent chance here. And look, it'll probably go down as a value loser. But I feel like plus 220 on Costa. The main thing that throws me off is I think he's coming out of his prime for sure. I think he's starting to slow down in his career. And I just hate that he fights so infrequently. But I don't know. Kopylov has things that as areas that I think can be exploited. Maybe Costa's not the guy to do it, but a plus 220, I'm pretty content to find out. I think
Yeah,
plus 190. Sorry, plus 190 to find out.
yeah, I like that angle. Like as I was looking at this fight, I totally thought, yeah, I'm probably gonna take Costa or just pass, like straight up.
Definitely
Um,
dog or pass.
Dog or pass. But yeah, Costa being 1-4 in his last one win and 4 losses in his last five isn't really like isn't getting me enthused. We know him to be a guy that marches forward, swing barrages of heavy boxing combos in the pocket, eat whatever shots he gets hit with along the way, smile, laugh it off, and get opponents out of there. And that's what his highlight reel looks like. And that's how he gives himself an opportunity to win fights, like being a wrecking ball. But it's clear his best days are probably behind him. Like he hasn't knocked out anyone since Uriah Hall in 2018. Nearly
Yeah,
got Rob Whittaker out of there, though. But I feel like he should have finished Luke Rockhold. And
definitely.
in the last 5 years, he's just been showing up with no real game plan and no real in-fight adjustments. He kind of just relies on the fact that he knows he has the power to knock someone out if he connects. But in that time that he's trying to like find an opportunity, he's getting himself teed up on. Um, Kopylov, he's been steadily moving through the middleweight division with only a few setbacks, all against grapplers. Southpaw kickboxer has heavy hands, explosive kicks, and pretty effective footwork that allows him to be in and out of range quite quickly. He's very quick and is also quite fast twitched, which I like. And he's very systematic in his approach. Like he's constantly feinting, looking to set up different targets. Like he'll focus on body and leg kicks to set up a big head kick, just like we got Claudio Ribeiro, or will target the head to bring hands up to rip into the body. That's something that I love about Roman Kopylov. Like we can pinpoint how he sets up these knockouts, and he does adapt well and gets more dangerous as the fight goes on, despite him like sort of slowing down. I do favor Kopylov to get the win here by decision. Like if Costa showing up, having turned back the clock and fights like he did 8 years ago, then that's probably his best path to victory. Because I do remember Claudio Ribeiro bull rushing Kopylov in the first round of their fight and had Kopylov buzzed against the fence. But that version of the best version of Costa as well also gassed out and slowed down too. And I see Kopylov throughout 15 minutes having sustained success and getting the better of striking exchanges. This is Southpaw versus Orthodox. Kopylov fights very well against Orthodox fighters, and on the other side of that, Costa struggles historically with Southpaws. Kopylov's favored weapons are there. His leaping 1-2s, body kicks, head kicks, which like if he connects even to the arm, like it sounds like a baseball bat when they land. And I think he'll be hitting the mark very often because we've seen Costa get hit with these shots quite easily. Costa got outboxed throughout 5 rounds against the undersized Marvin Vettori, who landed his rear left hand, often just lunging in. And Luke Rockhold like landed like in his moments of success, like he landed like 5 body kicks in a row from
I
memory,
remember that.
and he had those like overly telegraphed like 1-2s, and Costa was just there to be hit with those. Like
Yeah.
Kopylov, he throws these attacks with so much more speed, with more subtle setup and load up, and more power than these guys. And also, Vettori and Rocco, they're nowhere near as mobile and light on their feet as Kopylov is. So Costa did have his moments against those guys as well. Um, but the thing is, Kopylov as well isn't the most defensively responsible fighter. Like he does tend to eat shots, but when we see him eating shots, it's mostly through straight fast jabs, which like snaps his head back. And we don't often see Costa throw fast jabs. Like all of his punches like are like quite loopy hooks. So I think a lot of strikes will be glancing and bounces off the shoulders. And I'm not sure he's going to have too much success with his the body shots that we used to see him land, because
Mm.
it means that we have to get Kopylov against the fence standing still. Um, so yeah, I also see like Kopylov not having a problem blocking Costa's like body and high kicks too. So yeah, I think Kopylov wins this by decision.
Yeah, nice. I just wish. I hope for a few things. I hope Costa purposely misses weight again. I mean, I find that hilarious when he remember that fight
And he
against
blamed
Vettori.
Marvin Vettori.
Yeah, and he's just like, well, that's your issue. So funny. Um, but if he comes in, fully jacked and with the intention to be like this volume puncher who is going to cage clinch and win minutes there, I think he has a huge path to victory. But
Mm.
again, it's the big if. Will he look like that? What will he look like? Yeah, Kopylov has a lot of tools that should make him win this fight, but it does feel like there's a bit of value on Costa potentially.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe it's just another value loser. But I tell you what, I'll be fucking spewing if I've taken him against better guys, in my opinion, in Sean Strickland and Whitaker, and he hasn't delivered, and then he wins a plus 200 on against Kopylov, and I haven't bet him. So
It's a must play then.
my hands are tied, unfortunately. Costa Kopylov going the distance. I think yes.
I think so.
I think yes.
Yeah.
I could see some dicey moments with like both guys sort of hurting each other. But yeah, I think for the most part it probably goes to the decision.
Like Costa can absolutely eat shots. The thing is, when he eats shots, he always like makes it so obvious. Like he smiles and he's
Sticks
like,
the
"Ah,
tongue
you got
out.
me."
Sticks the tongue out.
Yeah, there's nothing more telling to a judge than that someone got hit good than what Costa does.
100%. He's an idiot.
But the thing is, with Roman Kopylov, like the optics are there. Like his afro just
Bouncing.
Yeah,
Isn't it funny seeing a Russian guy with an afro?
yeah.
All right, main event time. Max Holloway, 26-8, taking on Dustin the Diamond Poirier, 30-9. Prices, we have a Max Holloway minus 135, 140, somewhere in that range. Come back on DP, plus 120. Yes, that is the price. Okay, kick us off.
Yeah, so these are two guys I don't even really need to like touch on. Like they're no matter what era of UFC you've joined in and started tuning into, you know these names.
Yep.
DP is 2-0 in the trilogy, and if Max loses this, it'll mean he's lost 2 separate trilogies without winning a fight, which is insane.
It's a good record.
Yeah, their second fight was 7 years ago, and that's probably a good starting point. I feel like it was a lot closer of a fight than 49-46 on all judges' scorecards suggested. Like, it all just came down to the difference in power. Like, Max actually outlanded him slightly throughout the 5 rounds and had plenty of success, like especially against the fence, but Poirier was able to absorb it all, and he landed impactful like shots each round that just swayed rounds back his favor. Like I'll never forget Max having like the better of him in like round 4 or something, and then he just eats this knee that just opened him wide up. At this time, in their second fight, this was also a surging Dustin Poirier who was on a 4-fight win streak, coming off finishes over Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, and Anthony Pettis. And yeah, this eventually led to his title shot against Khabib. And for Max, this was a time where he was on a 13-fight win streak, coming off 2 title defenses to Ortega and Aldo in featherweight. So both were arguably in their prime, but Max moving up a weight division without having much time clearly played a big part, as his strikes just didn't have that much impact on him. Now 7 years removed, both have achieved continuous success, both have been in absolute wars, and both have faced their fair share of losses. Most notably, Max lost 3 fights to Volk, and he got knocked out for the first time in his career in the last fight. Meanwhile, for Dustin, he has had 2 more failed attempts at the title. I think 3. 3, yep. And got knocked out by Justin Gaethje in that time. We've seen Poirier come back after being knocked out before, and this will be the first time we see Max bounce back from a knockout. So the context of this fight is definitely much different in 2025, and I expect a different looking fight. But in saying that, has much changed in their style? Not as much. Like, we're still getting the same looks, but I think there are just favorable tweaks, mostly for Max's game, that I like going into this fight. For Max, we've now seen him fill out to the lightweight frame with a focused camp, and everything translated very well against Justin Gaethje. He maintained his speed, accuracy, and work rate, but most importantly, developed like some pretty solid power. I think the last few years he's really been sitting down on his punches a lot more and reducing his output. Like against Calvin Kattar, Yair Rodriguez, and Ortega, like years ago, he was landing upwards of 400 plus strikes on those guys, like throughout 5 rounds. His game was pretty clear, was to just increase his output round by round, looking to drown opponents eventually. Like a lot of it was pitter-patter punches, but in recent years, he's throwing a little less, landing heavier shots, and having a heavier focus on inflicting damage. Like he found that knockout on Korean Zombie. And through 5 rounds against Arnold Allen, landed 147 significant strikes, and against Justin Gaethje through 5 rounds, 181 significant strikes. So that's like less than half the significant strikes he would land in those 5 rounders years ago. Meanwhile, for Dustin Poirier, I think a lot of his improvements and changes have come in the form of tightening up his grappling flaws. And against Islam, we saw that he defended 11 from 16 takedowns, and he did pretty well in that fight. But I see this rematch mostly taking place in defeat. So unless minus those moments where Dustin, I mean, jumps for the gilly, which I'm sure is going to happen.
There's going to be a gilly for sure.
Be a gilly attempt. So I will say that would be a good little nibble.
Yeah,
play out.
I agree.
But yeah, he did well against Islam, but this fight's going to be mostly on the feet, and he's for the most part going to have the freedom of boxing without fear of defending a takedown. But in all honesty, I think he has like regressed. Like if you watch his fights from 2018 to 2022 and just watch how he moves in his recent performances, there's just a noticeable difference. Like he seems much slower. His movements and reaction times are just slower as well. He's become more hittable, and man, his tick of pulling up the shorts has increased by 1,000.
Oh my god, that's the only thing that hasn't changed like majorly.
But it's like he's just doing it so much more. Against Islam, he did it like a record amount of times in like the first 2 rounds.
It's the worst. It's not bad. It's not worse than the Demiris Magulov.
Oh yeah, no, but it's still just. Honestly, I actually think it's a bit worse because like you see him getting some momentum and then he just does the pulls the shorts.
Yeah, I suppose. But I mean, seeing a bloke in front of you fucking twitching out like a spurg like that is, I don't know, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, honestly, I still think my least favorite twitch is thing is Navajo Sterling.
Oh, yeah.
Just the constant nose stud. But yeah, meanwhile, against Justin Gaethje, Max did look his career best, and he did fine against Ilya until he got rocked. As much as I'd love to see Poirier get a win in his retirement fight, I think fairy tale endings are a rarity in this sport, and I just think where Dustin has stayed the same in his style and just improved in his grappling, I think Max has just adapted his style more, and I think we're going to see a better version of Holloway here. And I think he is right now a better fighter than Dustin Poirier. So yeah, I think Max wins by unanimous decision.
Sweet breakdown, man. Really like that. I'm conflicted. I agree with a lot of what you said, and the main part being I do think DP's definitely slowed down and regressed a bit in his style, for sure. I think that's the case. I also think a lot of people are not putting into enough stock into Holloway coming back now after getting knocked out pretty badly against Ilia Topuria. This is a guy who's, been renowned for his durability and his ability to take shots, and we've finally seen his chin get cracked. What version are we going to get? We don't know.
We don't know yet. That's the
we don't know, and that is a huge part in this fight for me. That makes me think that DP has a decent chance. Like, if Holloway's even regressed slightly from that Ilia Topuria loss, I think this is fairly competitive. I think when you add in also hometown crowd, they're going to be going cheering, going ballistic every single time that DP lands something. I think that's a huge tick for DP as well. So there's a few intangibles for me that go towards the side of Dustin Poirier. And I also think he has good tools to beat Holloway. Like, when I think of the Ilia fight and where Ilia had so much success, it was like taking advantage of the footwork changes and the step through combos, using that. And that's something that Dustin's done really well his whole career. His boxing's obviously been his strong suit out of southpaw, but he does love that step through combination where he switches his stance, shortens the distance, and lands the new power hand at the same time.
Yeah.
And I can see that being huge here, because that's exactly, I mean, you watch it back with the Topuria fight, and that is something that he identified and used very, very well. And I think Dustin would be stupid not to also recognize that and take advantage of it, given his strong suits. Holloway's going to land more shots for sure. I think volume is massively on his side. I think the power narrative is sort of overdone a bit. Like the zombie knockout, I think honestly, a lot of people would have done that to Zombie. Like Max Holloway did it very, very well, but I think a lot of people would have finished that version of Zombie. He was so far gone, unfortunately. Like Volkanovski is someone who's never been renowned for his power, and Volk knocked him out. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And when you pair that with, I was on him there. I was also on Max Holloway against Justin Gaethje. I had him money line. I had him TKO. I had him TKO 5. Like this is a guy that I've long, had pretty successful betting history on. But I think that narrative of that power is overdone. Like, that was just a freak shot. That overhand was a freak shot against Gaethje, who has no defense. And they were just brawling. So, like, I don't put much stock into that. And then I was also big on Ilya against Holloway as well. So I think I've got a pretty good read on him. And I'm worried, to be quite honest. I'm worried about his chin. I don't think we're going to get an amazing version of Holloway here, unfortunately. I almost think this could be a double retirement. I honestly do. I know it's been hyped up as DP's final, his retirement fight. But who's to say he comes out here, knocks Holloway out, and Holloway retires at the same time? When have we ever seen a double retirement in the sport?
Oh, there was one year, like back in like 2008. I clearly remember heavyweights or something.
Yeah, okay.
But
I mean, not in a while, and you never know. I think he probably would want to retire in front of the Hawaiian crowd for sure. But I think it's a possibility. I do think it's a possibility. Yeah, it's a close fight. If anything, I don't have a bet. It's a pass for me at the moment. If I was to bet on anything, I honestly think it would be the DP money line. I think there's a lot of intangibles that go his way, and yes, he has slowed down, but you're getting an underdog price. I think you know what you're getting more than Holloway. After that KO. So, yeah, for me, DP money line, but I think it's a close fight. I think it's going to be one of those legend fights where, like, maybe someone falls to ground and they, help each other back up and start brawling again. Like, it gives that kind of vibe to me. So, yeah, it's really hard to, like, go, this is going to finish, this is going to go the distance, because you have to take into account this is retirement fight. Like, there's going to be a lot of mutual respect and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think it goes to the decision, and I think it's close. I'd probably lean DP slightly, if anything.
Yeah, nice. I like it.
All right. Well, that is UFC 318 wrapped up. Let us go top to bottom, give you our final predictions and picks, and then we will do the Wager-Wise pick of the week, and we'll get out of here. All right. Carly Giudice, Nicole Cagliari.
Cagliari.
I think I like Giudice. But I do want to have a quick look while we're here at under 2.5 on that fight. Plus 195. Okay, interesting. All right. Up the card, we have Bruno Ferreira, Jackson McVeigh.
Ferreira.
Yeah, I think Ferreira as well. Ryan Spann, Lucas Brzeski.
Oh, don't care. Probably lean Ryan Spann.
Don't give a fuck. Jimmy Crute, Marcin Prachnio.
Extremely low confidence on Prachnio, but yeah, Prachnio.
Okay, I think Jimmy Crute subs him pretty well. Adam Fugit, Islam Dulatov. Yeah, Islam Dulatov for me too. Probably by submission. Atiba Gauthier, Robert Valentin.
Gauthier.
Yeah, Gauthier for me too. Francisco Prado, Nikolai Verotenikov.
Prado.
Yeah, low confidence Prado. Marvin Vettori, Brendan Allen.
Brendan Allen, probably.
Yeah, I think Brendan Allen. Carlo Phillips, Vinicius Oliveira.
I'm once again going to go Lock Dog.
Yeah, I love my boy Lock Dog, but Dog will pass for me in this one. I think Phillips might get him. Michael Johnson's Daniel Zellhuber.
Ryan Garcia.
Not bad. Sprinkle MJ round 1. Just sprinkle. Dan Ige, Patricio Pitbull.
Dan Ige.
Yeah, Ige for me. Kevin Holland, Daniel Rodriguez.
Kevin Holland
2 for me. Paulo Costa, Roman Kopylov.
Kopylov for me. I think you have to go with Costa, man.
I have to.
I'm going to be so upset if Costa
wins. I have to. It's Paulo Costa. Doggo pass. Holloway, Poirier.
Holloway for me.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close, but I'll go DP. All right. Wager-wise pick of the week. I feel like we've got 2 options. We've got a Kevin Holland by sub.
Mm-hmm.
Or we've got a... What was I thinking as we were going through? It could be an Atiba Gautier KO, potentially.
Oh, that's like
I don't know what that's paying. It wouldn't be
like
good, would it?
$1.40
Is it not that good? Let me have a look.
minus like 250 or something.
Let me look. Gautier yeah, no, that's fucked up. Minus 265. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no
That's
thanks.
fucked. Or we have a dual top by sub.
That's more likely, but
Let's go. We both had confidence. We both had confidence in it. All right. Your wager-wise pick of the week, Kevin Holland by sub. It'll be, let me look as I'll make a graphic on this one.
I got it at plus 320.
Okay. Kevin Holland plus 320 by submission. That is your wager-wise pick of the week. Let me get through here. Parlay. Any legs that you liked?
Yeah. Gautier, Zellhuber, and Holland.
Yep.
That'll be like maybe minus 130.
Yeah, that's a pretty good three-legger. I think this is a tough card for parlays because, like, there's some massive favorites, so you have to parlay quite a few to even get to plus money. If I was to pick any, I wouldn't pick any of these three in confidence. I couldn't tell you to pick Jimmy Crute. Like, I'd have to get my handicapper license take off of me if I told you to parlay Jim Crute at minus 300. I think Dulatov feels safe.
Yeah.
Atiba feels safe. Zellhuber should win, and a Holland. There's a four-legger for you.
Yeah. I do have two parlays that I've already played. That one I said before, Gautier, Zellhuber, and Holland. So that came down to minus 130 for me, whatever $1.79 is.
Yep.
And another one I had was a bit lower confidence now that we've talked about it, but I had Phillips and Lockdog over 2.5 rounds. Plus Vettori Allen fight goes distance, plus Holloway Poirier fight starts round 4, which went up to plus 200.
There you go. So you got a nice chalky one, and you got a nice plus money one. So that should help you out. Thanks for tuning in. All right. Other than that, that wraps up the episode for UFC 318. We had a massive week last week. Let's go back to back. What do we got next week?
Next week is our boy Rob Whittaker.
Yes. What else?
I don't know who else is on that card. Is that the Shanghai one?
I'm just getting it up now. So it's Whittaker versus RDR. No, it's Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi. So we're gonna get Shara against Marc-Andre Barriault.
Yeah, Bryce Mitchell, Ibo Aslan,
Pewter Young, Marcus McGee.
Yeah, that's a good fight. Anthony Smith is back taking on Nikita Krylov. That's a joke.
Ooh, Jose Ochoa against Asu Amabayev.
The debut of Marcus Buchecha, who's he's a well-known grappler, BJJ guy.
Oh, nice.
So that should be interesting. Other than that, it's a strange old card, but that's okay. We'll make it work.
Yeah, could be some good spots.
Could be. We'll always find them if there is. That wraps up another week of the WagerWise podcast brought to you by Dribble Sport. Thank you everyone for tuning in. This has been one of our most viewed ones for sure. It's saying there's like 88 on X, so I don't know what that means, but that's a good sign. Maybe some people are starting to get to know, which is good. If you haven't, like, comment, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter. You can follow me. I'm at Provide Picks on Twitter or on Instagram at Dribble Sport. The Dribble Sport Instagram has a whole lot of different sports and betting related content on there. So if you want to follow that, would be awesome. If you want to follow Ryan at Desperate Times with a Z1 on Twitter, gives out his bets for free. Been killing it this year on MMA specifically. Also very, very good at boxing. So make sure you give him a follow there. Ryan, anything you want to sign off with, my friend?
Just want to shout out Max Blessed. He's been in this live stream since 8:26 and it is nearly 10 o'clock. So shout out to you, my friend.
Yeah, shout out to you. Thanks for tuning in. And we will see you next week, hopefully off the back of two massive back-to-back weeks. Keep an eye on our Twitters because we will put out some other stuff on there in terms of picks and the WagerWise pick of the week and whatnot. So other than that, thank you everyone for tuning in and we'll see you next time. Boom.